I'm going to talk about God consciousness and unity consciousness and kind of the practical ways that that would show up in your life, like how that would look, how that would feel, and how to bring yourself into alignment with those, with God consciousness and unity consciousness when a part of you is showing itself that doesn't yet know that it's God and that it is one with all of life. So, God consciousness, the way that and by the way, I'm not a scholar of yoga or anything really. I just have had a very intense experience of awakening, and the way that I understand it is what I'm about to share. Take it or leave it. I'm not trying to be like right. I'm trying to explain kind of the practical way to bring this understanding into your life because it's healing and it's empowering. So, God consciousness to me. So, there's this metaphor of the dreamer. So, when you dream at night, all the characters in your dream are made of your mind. And all the characters seem to have their own perspective, and they do have their own perspective, but they're fundamentally, they are made of your mind. And so in the same way, we could say God is the dreamer and we are all characters in the dreamer's mind. But we have the ability to wake up in the dream, much like we have the ability to become lucid in a dream. We have the ability to wake up in this life and realize that we are the intelligence creating all of life. We are the unborn. We are the manifested. We are the intelligence that has created all of life, and we can experientially know this. And what is required, it's hard for me to say like what one must do to experience this because it happens spontaneously for me, but what it seems like would be necessary would be disidentifying from the mind, and also meditation in the void so that you can remember or refamiliarize yourself with the vibration of your fundamental true nature. So, but that being said, even though I did have a spontaneous awakening to my true nature, it didn't awaken all the fragments of myself. So I still had fragments of myself, parts of myself that didn't yet know that they were the intelligence of the universe and that they were one with all of life. And how would that show up? Well, in the God consciousness sense, right? Even my awakening itself, it triggered a lot of fear, a lot of fear of physical death, because it Kundalini energy amplifies everything in your chakras so that you can no longer escape it or avoid it, so that you can see it and discard it. But that process was very scary, and so many parts of me were terrified of awakening, terrified of the energy, not trusting the energy. And so those parts thought they were separate from life and something was happening to them. So the victim mentality, right? That's how you know there's parts of you that are not yet God realized. If you are realized as the dreamer, as the intelligence that created the whole universe, you know that you are creator. You know that you are creator. So you've created your life, and all of the characters in your life represent fragments of your psyche that you can accept and acknowledge as part of you and come to love them and appreciate them for whatever role they play. The God consciousness in you knows that, since it's the dreamer, since it's infinite potential, when you are faced with a challenge in your human life, whether it's a medical diagnosis, or I used lawsuit a lot, I used to be a lawyer, or a challenging individual, or some kind of deception, or somebody leaves your life, or there's lots of loss in your life, you have the opportunity to, first of all, honor the human experience and allow yourself to feel whatever that separate self feels, whether it's loss, whether it's grief, whether it's rage, right? I talk about how parts of us have different perspectives, and it's really essential for us to be able to acknowledge the perspective of the separate part in order to truly lay it down, because it will show itself over and over. Because actually what it is trying to do, what the universe is trying to do, is self-realize, is realize itself. So if a part of me that's stuck in a 3-year-old understanding that the world is dangerous, right? If that keeps coming up, because when I travel, I'm always afraid, I'm always projecting the worst case scenario. I have intrusive thoughts, right? All these echoes of this 3-year-old are trying to get my attention because they too want to be self-realized. So I have the opportunity to bring them into my heart, to feel the feeling, and to remember, I am creator. I am creator. I am not this 3-year-old body that is believing that it is unsafe. I am creator. And to bring that understanding into the 3-year-old so that it integrates, so the creative energy of the 3-year-old comes back into your heart and becomes part of your creative energy again, instead of part of you that is stuck and creating chaos and discomfort and disease in your system. So in practical speak, right, God consciousness, the way that would look in your everyday life, you would feel capable. You would feel empowered. You would feel like if you had an idea that you could create the idea. It's kind of like what I imagine Elon Musk to be like when he wants to start like a new town or go to another planet. And it's like, well, he has an idea and he doesn't challenge himself. He doesn't doubt himself. This is creator consciousness. Like, and people, some people are afraid, like, well, could that be dangerous in the wrong hands? It's like, well, don't worry about that. There's beings with all kinds of intentions and agendas. But in general, what I would say is that when you realize yourself as creator, there's this love in your heart, like, oh my goodness, like everything is this loving intelligence. And I think the only reason why we are ever unkind or is because we believe we're separate. It's because we believe that that person over there isn't actually me and that we're not both the love of the universe. So I have to fight against that person for resources or for love or for recognition. And so it's like when you empower yourself and you are in your God consciousness, like, why would you have any animosity towards any life? It doesn't really make much sense. So God consciousness in practical life shows up as creativity, capability, the absence of doubt, the absence of challenge, this feeling like you could point yourself towards something and you could say, I want to create this, and then expect it to happen. Because if you really know that you are infinite intelligence, how can anything other than that be true? How can anything other than that be true? You created this dream. You created the dream of your childhood. You created the dream of your conditioning. You can create as a lucid dreamer as well. And sometimes for some people, their style of being creator is just kind of like opening and trusting and not really having preferences. And that's cool. Some people are, it's interesting because people are more or less conscious of their heart's perspectives. I think it's even reflected in human design. Like some people should manifest in a more general sense and just focus on how they want to feel. Some people should be specific. It doesn't matter as long as you know who you are. As long as you know who you are, that's the God consciousness, that's creator consciousness, that's intelligence showing up as the human character. And so that would not feel threatened. It would not feel diminished. It would not feel threatened by what anybody has to say about anybody's opinion, about it would not be guided or coaxed by external cues. It would be guided from within. It would know that its individual expression, right? You as an individual, what you are interested in, what you want, how you feel about things, the way that you digest information, the way that you perceive, what your body needs, right now, that's all you as source manifesting as this individual, moment to moment. And so the God realized individual doesn't feel swayed by the external world, and feel love and compassion. Like, if you're still swayed by the external world a little bit, like, relax. It's okay. And so the unity consciousness part, right? I am everything. I am everything, and all is me. And so the people in my life, I like to talk about something I learned from Adyashanti, which is that the heart is a perceptual center. And it makes sense when you think about like all the nerves in these centers, like around the heart, around the gut, like we have all these brains. And when you're in unity consciousness, or when you're not yet in unity consciousness, like as a baseline, what you can do is you can bring your consciousness down into your heart center, and you can interact with people from your heart. And you can, it's most challenging usually with our family of origin. And you can just like in that moment, like try to practice like being in the conscious realization that like they're like, everything is myself. Like, this is all one being interacting with itself, and it is, as your mother or your father or your sisters or your brothers, those characters are in their own particular state of self-realization. Their parts are in various states of self-realization, and so the only opinion that they could offer you is from their own state of self-realization. So really knowing and understanding that, and like feeling like this love in your heart that like no matter how they are showing up right now, the truth is that they are you. They are you, they are love, and whatever their perspective is part of the perfection of the whole universe. And so how, like where the rubber hits the road, right? Like, how do you honor all of these dimensions at once? Like God consciousness, unity consciousness, like the individuality. Well, you, like I said, practically speaking, it's honoring the way that source is manifesting through you. So if one of your family members has a different perspective than you, let's say they are unkind to you, and let's say they scream. Okay, so that's God, and they're screaming, but you honor your boundary, right, as an individual, and you say like, look, if you're gonna talk to me that way, I'm gonna have to hang up the phone. Or if they call you in the first place and you can feel their energy and you can feel they're looking for that, you don't pick up. And the only reason you would pick up is if you're also looking for that. So ask yourself, if you're still looking for conflict, if you're still looking for fighting, if you're still looking, are you bored? Like sometimes we settle for old familiar energies simply because we're bored. And I would challenge you to go beyond that by asking yourself, like, is there anything I could do right now to shift my energy, to shift my awareness, to get into a more expanded state where I'm not letting my boredom move my body? It's like, don't let, to the best of your ability, your lower energies, meaning your separate self energies, the parts of you that are stuck in the understanding of separation, which means understanding of separation means that they don't yet know that they are the infinite intelligence of the universe. That's what separation means. I'm separate from life, which means I'm separate from God, which means I'm separate from infinite intelligence, which means I'm separate from resources, which means I'm separate from love, right? It's separate from all those things. So you honor the process of life. And so you allow yourself to be aware of the separate parts of you and to remind them that they are a creator. You let other people be in their survival parts, and you honor your boundaries, right? There's a way to reconcile all of these dimensions. Sometimes we take one of these teachings, like unity consciousness, like, oh, everything is love, everything is myself. And so but that doesn't mean that you should tolerate everything. That doesn't mean that you should remain in situations that are unsavory to you. In fact, your values and what feels compatible to you on a soul level is your source speaking to you. And what I've noticed is that when people honor all of these things that I'm speaking about, their boundaries and about practicing the energy of capability and being in this creator mindset, in this kind of unlimited mindset, all of the separate selves, like mental disorders, lots of the depression and the anxiety, it all goes away, because the antidote to being separate from life is realizing that you are life. And realizing that you are life on an experiential, practical level means that whatever appearances are in your world, they are just appearances. And they are not bigger than you. Only a child's perspective believes that anything is bigger than it. So if you're in a situation where you feel yourself becoming smaller or cowering, it's not that you're a coward, but it's that you're part of you that's still a very young perspective, a victim perspective. That's what's showing up right now. So so with love, you say, oh, okay, that part of me doesn't yet know that it is infinite intelligence. And unity consciousness and God consciousness may or may not come with amazing experiences, transcendental experiences, mystical experiences, or what the Course in Miracles call light episodes, right? You see the veil very thin and everything is sparkly and light, and that's cool and everything, but what's most important is that you embody yourself as the intelligence of the universe in practical ways that connect with your earth experience. And so that's what I wanted to kind of explain today. That, self-realization and God realization, and like there's like very epic mystical aspects of that where you can get, sure, you can get spun up in a Merkaba and go deep in the mind of God and see lots of sacred geometry and all that, but then you're going to come back to your human world and you want to anchor that intelligence in your life with the people that you love, with what you want to create, which is, I think that's what matters, or that's what's in my heart, right? And so maybe it resonates with you, maybe it doesn't, take it or leave it. But yeah, that's it for today. Have a good day.